Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Mike Vogiatzakis show on this Wednesday evening. So great to have everybody joining us. Lots of comments coming in our chat room already. We're live. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute. We're everywhere you want us to be. Find us on your favorite platform. You can search out Mike Vogiatzakis show on Facebook. You can also search us out on the Mike Vogiatzakis himself, his own personal page. Everything's being broadcast there. You can find us all over the place. Hopefully you'll send and share this with your family and friends and get them to join us as well. The topics that we talk about here on the show aren't necessarily always all about Winnipeg. We do talk about things that happen in Winnipeg, but how they relate to other parts of the country, other cities, other towns. So there's a lot to come tonight. We're going to talk about the noise. Pardon me, we're not going to talk about the noise, are we, Mike? We're going to basically bail on the noise. This isn't about cheap shots. It's not about chasing headlines either. Tonight is about responsibility for our seniors who are sitting in hospital beds with nowhere to go, and that happens daily. You can walk into any hospital right now, and I'm pretty sure that you could walk down the hall and you're going room to room to look for your friend, and you'll end up having 20 conversations along the way because there's a lot of people out there looking for some sort of connection, which is lacking in the nursing industry, is my opinion at this point. And not because the nurses are doing a bad job, only because there's a lack of nurses. But we'll talk about that. Responsibility for how billions of taxpayer dollars are being spent in this city. We'll talk about the responsibility for the safety of our streets too, and the responsibility leadership at City Hall. It's all about responsibility, and how we handle life and death with dignity. Because when systems fail, people don't just experience inconvenience, they experience decline, they experience fear, they experience loss of control, and sometimes they slip through the cracks. Tonight we're going deeper than the surface arguments. Tonight we're going to educate, we're going to clarify jurisdiction, we're going to challenge assumptions, and we're going to talk honestly about what needs to change. Now, before we move forward tonight, we want to hear from you. Leave your comments, let us know who you are, where you're watching from. Please like, share, and follow. As I mentioned earlier, your comments are what make this show exciting. Please, keep the rhetoric to a minimal because, we're not here to fight. We're here to talk to each other and make some new friends. Engage in the conversation respectfully, as this is your platform too. Mike, it's great to have you on the program tonight. We're going to come back to Mike in about 30 seconds, right after a quick break from our great sponsor.
At Santa Lucia Pizza, you know it's all about the sauce. Did you also know, whether dine-in, takeout, or delivery, our menu is sure to please, with a variety of options for the whole family, with quality ingredients for pizza, pasta, Greek, and so much more. Cut cooking out of your dinner plans and let Santa Lucia Pizza do all the work. With large portions, superior taste, great service, remarkable quality, and exceptional value, plus fantastic menu options, and our specialty, of course, pizza. Fresh and piping hot to your door. Pizza, pasta, Greek food, Santa Lucia. It's all about the sauce. Order online at santaluciapizza.com.
I'm hungry again.
Oh, man.
I'm always hungry when I see how that cheese is
What a terrible idea to have a pizza commercial.
You peel that cheese out and it's just so stringy and just like, I want to eat that right now.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Glad to have you here.
Hi, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, how you doing over there?
How's it going over there, Brad? I feel like I'm way over on the other side of our desk tonight.
You're not.
I feel like I'm far away from you, Brad. I can't even touch you.
No, that's the point. Why I moved this apart. I was like
talking about touching you.
Touching me?
I just want to say hi to Sharon, who's joining us on the show tonight. Hey, Sharon.
He's not touching me, Sharon. Not the way he touches you, I'm sure.
Oh, look who's number one on our show tonight. Gord, you're number one, but there's no beer beside you tonight.
No, it's a thumbs up.
Randy. Hey, Randy, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mavis. Mavis Friesen's here with us. And
hey, this
so
looks
is
like
Cindy.
a new person. Cindy.
Plays horses. Plays horses.
And Dan Ross from Ross, Manitoba.
Randolph is here tonight. So is Catherine Olive Clifton.
Yeah, Mike Cherry. Like Mike Cherry, he's on the show always. And good old Al Bueller. What would a show be without Al Bueller?
Well, what would it be without Al Bueller in the comments section? That's the question. we don't actually.
Lulu.
We couldn't put him on the show, but we can put him in the comments section.
Yeah, we can't put him on the show. He'd probably take off his shirt or something.
Flex.
And we got Mike Mazer on the show.
Hey, what did he say? He says stuck
Yeah,
in
you
Fort.
go ahead and read
Just
that.
stuck in Fort St. John right now with the service guy. Frozen truck. Once I get rolling, I'll be in the mountains and probably not catch you guys. So I'll have to catch you tomorrow from Alberta all the way back to Winnipeg. Have a good night, everybody. Hey, Mike, take it easy. Drive safe. I mean, we got number one highways closed out there west of Winnipeg between Portage and Winnipeg. Lots of slippery sections out there. Take your time. Come home safe. All right.
Hey, I almost sound like a radio announcer.
I had a friend who recently passed away that we'll talk about
We're
in
going
a
to
minute.
talk about that. Amanda Vogiatzakis, my niece, is on the show. Hello, everyone, she says. Hey, little Nick, her son is going to be on the show with us.
I got to say hi to Randy Medwood real quick, too. Randy,
We
good
did
to see
say
you.
hi to Randy.
Okay, so what about your...
But I was going to say, so little Nick
Yeah.
is going to come on the show.
Is
He
he?
wants to be part of our show. It's Amanda's son. And the kid's really entertaining. So we're going to bring
What's he going to dance and
and
sing or what? Karaoke?
He says he's going to come on and show us how to actually start the show.
How to start the show.
So we'll take it from
How old is he?
a little. I'm not too sure how old he is. He's just a little guy.
Oh, he's just a little guy like this?
Just yeah.
Oh,
about that,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So
Well,
we're
great.
gonna let him come on the show.
Oh,
and,
absolutely then.
Anyway, some more people. Debbie. Hey, Debbie.
Can't wait.
Love Debbie. Awesome person. Hi, dudes and dudettes. Happy hump day. And good old Angela's on the show. We got a lot of people on the show tonight. Sherry Huff is on the show. Hey, Sherry, thanks for joining us. Remedy Max.
Hey, wait, there's a good one. Mike Cherry says, heck of a show over there at City Hall yesterday.
You know
An
what?
epic meeting.
And I want to talk about that too. So
That was a huge crowd.
You know,
why weren't we there?
it's just I was on a funeral service myself.
I should have been there.
What's your excuse, Brad?
I missed it. I should have been there.
And, the thing is, that's what we need to do to make change in Winnipeg, is come out by the hundreds. I heard there was about 200 people there who made a lot of noise, and there was all kinds of groups that united as one. And that's what makes Winnipeg, Winnipeg. So if we can get more of that happening with groups not fighting with each other, but joining together in unity to make change for the better. And the whole purpose of that meeting yesterday was one reason. So they can't put buff zones up so we could have protests, peaceful protests. And that goes for everyone. And what they wanted to do is put a stop to that completely. No buff zones.
That's right. No
So
buff zones.
they took a step backwards because they knew the people were a little pissed off.
And when the City Hall fills up like that, change happens. And you're going to be able to put that pressure on Mike. I just want you to know that. You're going to walk in there, fill it up, and Mike's going to sit back and go, oh.
Mike is going to listen to what you say. Don't you worry about that. I will be a people's mayor. My doors will be open and conversation will be easily available.
Well, it goes with the picture right beside you on the screen, which is, I hear you. And you're going to listen, aren't you?
That's right. I hear you. And that's the whole plan is, and I'm not campaigning. And a lot of people go, you're campaigning. No, I'm not. But I hear you. We're starting the conversation. We're making some noise. We're finding out what Winnipeggers want.
Beforehand.
The more feedback you give, the better the platform
The more
becomes.
time you have to put a platform together, you got more
And you know what? I
insight,
have my
right?
own show to do it on, right?
That's
So we get the conversation going. We talk about things, and that's how change happens. Everybody puts in their 2 cents, and at the end of it all, we have.
And you know what? We don't just talk at you, right?
Yeah, we don't just talk at you; we talk with you, and you know what? That's a big part of the show is making you a part of the show, and that's why the comments are so important. These conversations matter because they affect real families, real seniors, real business owners,
That's right.
and real communities. So tonight we're going to take our time, unpack this properly, and talk about a whole bunch of interesting things. But before we do that, Brad,
Yeah. What do you want to get into first here? There's so many things.
we want
You
to talk
do the
about
tribute first?
I think we want to talk about
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
let's
I'm
do
gonna
that.
talk about Carl here.
All right.
So Carl Krebs passed away this weekend, and it was terrible to get the phone call. I was actually out with my son, and we were having a good time, and all of a sudden the phone rang, and it was I think 2:00 in the morning or somewhere around there. And
About
I'm like,
midnight.
Midnight? I'm like, what the heck is Brad doing calling me at midnight? Like, what's up with this? And, I knew when Brad was calling me that late that something had happened, something wasn't right. And then I answered the phone, and Brad goes, have some bad news for you. And I said, well, what's wrong? And he goes, Carl Krebs passed away. And, that minute where you get that phone call and a friend passes away, everything kind of changes in your mind.
It sure
And
does.
I don't know about you, but you remember maybe that last conversation you had with him. You remember he goes back to, is this real? Is this really happening? Is he playing games with me? Like, what's going on? Carl was a strong man, loyal, community-minded, the kind of person who showed up for people. When you needed Carl Krebs, he was there for you. When someone
right.
like Carl Krebs passes, you focus on dignity and what dignity really means, not in theory, but in practice. As a funeral director, I see loss every single day. But when someone you know who mattered passes away, it reminds you how precious life really is. And I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it again, and I've seen kind of a change where people have been saying to me, and I've been getting a lot of messages, and people have been saying, if that could happen to Carl Krebs, it can happen to me. And I say this all the time, I'm going to say it again. Today's a gift and tomorrow's never promised. And it's a true fact. And Brad, I hope after this, you get your affairs in order and have a will. And we have will kits on the Voyage Funeral Home website where you can go on and get it absolutely for free. For all the people listening who are following me on Facebook, there's one thing I want you to do, and it's the greatest favor you'll ever do for me and your family. Put a will in place. We have a 5-in-1 will kit on our website that's absolutely free to you and your families. Fill it out, sign it, get it ready, because you never know when that day comes. Carl, that day, I know Brad had a conversation with him when he was on the highway. Carl drove truck, and he was on the highway, and Brad and him had that conversation about having a sore chest. Brad said to him, it's probably a good idea that you get to a hospital. And unfortunately, he didn't make it to that hospital that night. But it just shows when you leave your house, you never know if you're going to go back home again. So I would say have your house in order. Having your house in order means doing those things that are important so you don't leave your family stranded, like a will. A will is the most important document you can have, maybe a bank account with somebody else's name on it. Just have your house in order, because if this can happen to Carl Krebs, if it can happen to my brother Kyriakis, it can happen to you. So take care of your health, take care of each other, but get your house in order.
One day you're here, the next day you're gone. And I did speak to Carl a couple days prior to, and I was going to call him back on the day of. I knew he was coming across the border, and I knew he was trying to make it back to the border. The day before we had that conversation, he was saying he was having chest pains and that he didn't feel right. And I said, pull over and get out and get to the hospital now. He thought he could make it, and he got to Pembina and passed away in Pembina. Luckily, he had the strength and the, I guess, knowledge to say, I'm going to pull over and not, keep driving here. I know something's going on wrong. And he stepped aside and got out of the truck and made it into the gas station to call for an ambulance and ask for help. And it was just at that moment that, unfortunately, that.
And you know what? He was responsible enough. Enough to pull over. And I mean, you're driving a big rig. You could do a lot of damage with that, especially after having a heart attack on the highway. Carl did the right thing, pulled into Pembina, ran into the gas station, asked for help, but it was just a little too late. So our deepest condolences go to...
An hour away from home, man.
An hour away from home. And you know what they always say?
All he wanted to do was make it back to Winkler so he could go to the hospital in Winkler. And he said, I'm getting out of the truck, Brad, and I'm going right to the hospital in Winkler. He said, I can feel I got to get to the hospital, but I'm going to bring the truck home and I'm going to finish my job today.
Yeah.
And men are proud, right? Men are always proud,
yep.
And you'll keep working. And even if you've got a heart, chest pain, whatever, you're going to keep shoveling, aren't you?
Sometimes you got to put your pride aside.
You got to stop. I mean, I over the last couple of days, having this tragedy in my life with Carl, I'm out there shoveling some snow the last couple of days and just kind of clearing the driveway to get ready for the fresh snow that just fell today. And I'm like, should I even be doing this? Am I really wasting heartbeats on shoveling snow? And then I think, well, I'm wasting every day too, doing what I do every day just to, make sure that the world knows about, the situation Canada's in here across the country. So my heart rate goes up and down. The beats, I guess, aren't going to matter. It's just going to be time is time. And unfortunately, Carl ran out of time, and I wished he would have gone and got the stints put in and had it taken care of.
So a lot of people are asking, I saw Amanda asking, who's Carl Krebs? So Carl Krebs was a freedom fighter.
True freedom fighter.
And when COVID hit, Carl Krebs was there and stuck his head out for
his neck,
for the people that needed him. And Carl was there and would fight. And Carl was a guy you either loved or you hated. he was that kind of guy. But Carl and I remember when Carl's mom died, I was the first one he came to see. I was running my brother's restaurant at the Cork and Flame, and in came Carl. We had this really heart-to-heart conversation about life and death. And it was a good conversation with Carl. I'll never forget it. So again, put your affairs in place. It's really important you do that. Carl did have his affairs in place, which helped. and it helped the family make it a little bit easier. So make sure you do that for your family, just to do the right thing.
And his celebration of life starts tomorrow night in Winkler, Manitoba. There will be a prayer service held tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
It goes for a few hours.
Yeah,
Doesn't it?
I believe there will be some people allowed to speak tomorrow night and say a few words if you have a memory of Carl. Otherwise, I think those memories are going to be brought to light Friday in the banquet room or the reception area after the funeral. Carl will be...
and we're, by the way, the funeral starts at 2 o'clock.
That's Friday.
At
yes.
Friday in Winkler. And you're going to be speaking at the funeral.
Yes.
Yeah. So what we're going to be doing is after the funeral, it's really important to know this, that I'm going to go out there, and more than likely Brad's going to come with me, and we're going to take our hearse out from Winnipeg to Winkler. And then I'm going to take Carl into my care, which is going to be an honor. And I'm going to drive Carl back to Winnipeg, where we're going to hold him for the weekend. And then we're going to take Carl to Brookside Cemetery, Voyage Funeral Home, and have a burial at Brookside Cemetery at 2 o'clock. Anybody who's wanting to come and pay their final respects to Carl, you could do it at 2 o'clock at Brookside Cemetery. We're going to wait by the gates, and hopefully we'll have a long procession of people where we can go in and lay Carl to rest in a very dignified way, and he did deserve that. So that's going to happen 2 o'clock on Monday. So
2 o'clock on Monday?
It's going to be a long ride back.
So all you got to do
Carl.
is remember 2 o'clock Friday in Winkler, 2 o'clock Monday at Brookside Cemetery here in Winnipeg. The funeral in Winkler, the church is 750 people, so there's a lot of people available to come.
And they'll be live streaming it.
Yeah, they'll be doing that as well. And then once all that happens, we're going to share memories of Carl through the reception there on Friday after the funeral's over, and have a good talk about lots of cool things.
And just so you know, he's in care of Weeb's Funeral Home in Winkler. That's the local funeral home in Winkler, and they've done a good job taking care of Carl. So thank you to them for helping the family. It's this time where a family needs good people in their lives. People that share stories, people that share love, people that show compassion. And that's what it's all about. On another show, I want to talk about things that matter.
Ask the funeral, things that matter. Ask the funeral.
We're going to bring Ask the Funeral Director back once a month for people that used to watch Ask the Funeral Director. We're going to bring it back once a month and just talk about funeral topics like we used to do in the past. So call it a blast from the past.
It'll be a good show, nonetheless.
So anyways, hopefully we see you in Winkler. Brad and I will be there, and I know a whole bunch of people from Winnipeg are coming out to join.
Kurt, I want to mention this. Kurt Taves? How do you say his name?
Is in the hockey player Taves?
No, not in the hockey player Taves.
Coves.
Toes?
I think so.
Okay, so Kurt's got a great website or a page put up on his own Facebook page that covers a lot of different pictures of Carl. There's a lot there. You'll see a great video coming up over the next couple of days as well if you come out to the service. It's going to be really good to reminisce on some of these pictures that where these freedom fighters stood together and hugged and celebrated Canada in a way that others across this country don't seem to be able to understand.
It's not only about freedom fighters. It's everyone that Carl touched. So he touched a lot of lives and a lot of people that are part of.
Do you know one thing about Carl that he always did when I was on the phone with him? He would always I wouldn't say all the time, but every once in a while, he would nail me with scripture, Mike.
Oh, I know.
And it'd be off the top of his head. It wasn't like he was reading the Bible, reading from his phone. He'd be just like, "Hey, Brad, I remember this, and I got to tell you this." And it was just like, how do you remember those numbers? How do you remember all this?
We had a scripture battle one time, Carl and I on the phone. But I want you to know something that Carl did was he was really pushing me to run for mayor, and Carl was really in the background. Mike, you got to do this. You're the guy from Winnipeg. I want you to know when you
created the first vote for Mike. But
it was I like Mike.
Oh, I like Mike. That's
so if you see I like Mike with a little structured house beside or whatever he had there,
it's beautiful.
Carl Krebs is the one that came up with that, and then it's been all over Facebook now. So when you see it, I like Mike. That's Carl Krebs, his work. So he for the people that just joined us, and there's a lot that have just joined us. So Carl Krebs did die of a heart attack in the States, just an hour away from home.
February 13th, 2026, 63 years old.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight we're going to go deep, Mike. We're going to go deep. We're going to structure things out. We're going to layer it. We're going to educate people. We're going to give no surface level fluff at all. This is the full deep dive segment about to roll out here. And seniors stuck in hospitals. Why this is a dignity crisis more so than anything else. A Winnipeg family recently, and we'll pull up the image of that here. Let me see if I can do that real quick.
And there's been quite a few families in Winnipeg who've lost loved ones. As a matter of fact, St. Boniface hospitals have been in the news quite often lately about the chaos that's going on in the hospitals and the deaths that are taking place. And
Telephone.
look at that, phone's ringing.
It's actually Margaret Clausen.
Oh, really?
Thanks for calling, Margaret. I'm sorry I won't be able to take your call right now.
Oh, geez.
I won't be able to take your call.
So we've been dealing with a lot of deaths in Winnipeg, and a lot of the thing that's terrible is you go to a hospital, and you have chest pains, for example, and you do the right thing, and the hospital sends you home, and that's happened a lot lately, where the hospital is sending you home, and all of a sudden you get home, and a couple hours later you're dead, but you did the right thing. You went to the hospital, and you were sent home. So crisis on the healthcare system for sure, and it's driving a lot of people crazy, and we've done a couple of deaths ourselves related to that.
And now we can go back to this story. So this is a Winnipeg family who is demanding answers after a 19-year-old Morgan Ross lost her mother. Her mother's name is Stacy Ross. Now, following 2 long emergency room waits at St. Boniface Hospital, after waiting more than 11 hours in the ER, the family says critical warning signs were missed. They were later told that elevated troponin levels were a key indicator of a heart attack and were not acted on in time. Stacy went into cardiac arrest and passed away. Her daughter now says she's left without her mom because the system failed her. The family, alongside the Progressive Conservative Party of Manitoba now, is calling for a public inquiry into what happened. No family should see a loved one die after asking for help. Mike, we hear the term seniors stuck in hospital. Maybe you can explain clearly what that actually means, because it's not just stuck in hospital. That could be palliative care and home care, or what are you talking about?
So
here?
we have a large elderly population, and that's our parents. Our parents that were, that helped build the city and did all the good things, and now a lot of them are stuck in hospitals. So let's just talk about somebody maybe that you were telling me one of your neighbors broke a hip.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
In Canada, when a patient no longer requires acute medical treatment but cannot safely return home, they are classified alternative level of care. So that's ALC, if you hear that. What does that mean? That means that they don't need hospital level treatment anymore. And you kind of wonder, well, if I don't need hospital treatment, what do I need? But there's nowhere appropriate to discharge them to. A lot of them can't go back home. They don't have anywhere else to go. They occupy acute care beds in a hospital while they're waiting for a personal care home placement or assisted living or transitional rehab, because a lot of people need rehab when they break a hip, or they are in need of rehab and they're stuck in hospitals.
Yep.
Or they need home care supports, which is hard to get. In Manitoba alone, hundreds of hospital beds are occupied by daily ALS patients, meaning patients that are stuck in the hospitals. But what does that do? That impacts ER wait times, because now there's no beds available. Ambulance.
ALC, right?
ALC.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, ER. So the ER wait times are getting longer because no hospital beds are available. People are stuck in emergency. A perfect example of that was Mike McIver, our funeral director. He was stuck in Selkirk Hospital in emergency for 4 days.
Right.
So no beds available for somebody who needed to come in. Also, ambulance offload.
And that's just a heart attack, right?
Yeah. It causes surgery backlog, staffing burnout. But beyond system strain, this is a dignity issue, in my opinion.
So what's a dignity issue specifically? Because there's people are going to go, what's that
I think
really
because
mean?
Hospitals are built for treatments, not living.
Right.
And that makes a lot of sense. People go there because they need to get better. They need to be treated for whatever they're going through in their lives. And then all of a sudden, when there's no beds available, that completely changes. Here's what prolonged hospitalization does to seniors. So basically, physical decline, when you're sitting in a hospital bed and you got nowhere to go, your body is declining. Even medical stable seniors lose their muscles, their muscle mass. They're inactive all the time. They're weak in hospitals, beds, which can reduce your strength, obviously. It causes impact on your body. It's the hospital environment is for people that are sick, not the people who've lost autonomy. And that's a big thing. You lose control over schedules, meals, privacy, even lighting, emotional erosion. For example, you get a neighbor beside you that you don't know. A lot of times, maybe a female in a male's room where the male's not feeling comfortable, or the opposite. Depression sets in. It increases while seniors feel the burdens. Families feel helpless. When someone is waiting but not healing in a hospital bed, their independence often deteriorates. And that's a fact. That's not just insufficiency, that's human cost. When a person is sitting there and not getting help. And we need to help these seniors. These seniors are the people that built our city and raised their children, which is us, and now they're stranded in what I call the twilight zone.
All right, so what happens next in the process? You got to walk us through that, because some people won't understand.
Well, step by step, assessment determines they cannot return home safely. They're placed in long-term care or alternative housing while wait lists work their way down. Families are presented with available beds. The first available options may not be near your home. As a matter of fact, it may be in another town altogether. Refusing placement in one of these homes could delay future priority. Families often feel the pressure because hospitals need the bed, and the hospitals are putting pressure on the patient, and the patient can't really do anything about it. Neither can a family. It becomes an administrative solution, not a personalized one, and that's really bad.
Right. Now, what do you think the system looks like instead, Mike?
I think we need structure. We need a middle tier. Right now, the jump is a hospital, nursing home. We're missing transitional recovery centers. And Sharon was sharing with me today that there's only one that holds 70 people, where it's a center where you can go, but there's no beds available. So we need short-term housing for these patients who are in the middle, in the twilight zone. We need expanded assisted living, rapid home care development. A senior recovering from surgery should not have to choose between being institutionalized or hospital. We need a recovery-focused environment, and that's what we're not getting. And a perfect example, I call that the twilight zone, because you go through the system. You're in a hospital, you go to a care home. Sometimes you don't qualify for the care home. So where do you go in between? You can't go back home because you just can't live in a house by yourself. You could get home care, but home care is not enough. Some people can't use the washrooms on their own. Some people can't walk without walkers. So it puts that person in a really bad situation.
Okay, so reports indicate that Canada is spending roughly $1 billion annually on health coverage for refugees. Why bring this into the conversation? I mean, we got to spend some money on these people. They're coming from nowhere. They're coming into our country, and they've been welcomed here by the Canadian government. And well, they've got their own health issues and problems. So what do we do, Mike?
I think because
spend $1 billion on them?
Citizens are asking for priorities, and that's the big thing, is priorities for citizens. The federal health program provides the following: doctor visits, hospital care, limited prescriptions. The question isn't whether emergency care should exist. The questions are refugee claims processed efficiently? And that's a big question. Are those claims processed efficiently? Is it backing up the system, inflating costs? And we've heard that from reports of doctors already, inflating the costs of what they're billing. Is their capacity planning aligned with the intake? Are provincial systems being reimbursed appropriately? When Canadians see seniors waiting months, no family doctors, surgery backlogs, they will ask the federal, provincial, municipal coordination and the functioning property to step in. This is a system management discussion, not an emotional one. And that's the problem. And I know a lot of people will say this too. Why are you talking about federal politics? Because this is a situation Winnipeg is in. We've heard it on the news. We've seen it all over the place. Everything is backed up. Everything from 911 to our healthcare system to people dying in rooms, beds not available. And then we talk about, the people coming in to the city and what's happening with that and how's that helping our elderly. And again, I truly believe that Canadian citizens come first. I'm not saying that we should push others aside who need health care. The problem is, why are we bringing more people in when we can't handle what we have? That's the real issue. The real issue is we need to take care of people that are here now, that need help, that are a priority because they've been in this country, they pay taxes in this country, they've raised children in this country, they've worked here, and now they're stuck in the twilight zone where they can't get help. Or some people can't get hospital beds and they're sent home. Some people can't get operations. We saw during COVID where everything was put on hold. Literally everything.
That's right. Now, Mike, who runs a city and what does a mayor actually control? We're going to talk about that because I think that's important that people get an understanding for what's coming in your future.
I think
people often blame the mayor for hospital issues, and maybe this is where you can clarify some jurisdiction. Does he have any power in the hospital system?
So here's how it works. So healthcare is provincial. A lot of people talk about this, but that doesn't mean a mayor can't get involved. Refugee policy is federal. Policing and infrastructure is municipal, so that's the mayor's role. The mayor chairs the executive policy committee, influences like budget decisions, oversees police funding, shapes infrastructure strategy, which is terrible in the city right now, advocates for other levels of government. So the mayor cannot fix healthcare directly.
No way.
But leadership is required too. So you put pressure. So what I'm saying is if I'm mayor, I'm not just going to sit there and go, well, this isn't my job. Sorry. I'm going to put pressure on the federal government, on the provincial government. We're going to go in coordination with those two levels of government to make things happen for you. Public advocacy. That's a big thing. You got to be there and push what's right for the public. Again, a mayor's job isn't just to sit in the mayor chair and go, oh, well, my job is to take care of roads and bridges and bike lanes and that kind of stuff. We need to put things into priority. And priority means you, the citizens, getting what's needed and what needs help from the federal and provincial government. Leadership is an influence inside its jurisdiction.
All right, let's talk a little bit about a comment here. Just scroll up for a second because I want to read a comment online here. I thought that was a good one. Just click the button and scroll up.
Just click the button. Easy as that.
All right, it's not only too far. Go back down
far?
a bit. Yeah, a little more. There we go. Stop there. So I'm looking at Sandra Dupuy's comment in the chat room. It says, all the staff are foreigners according to staff, and they barely speak English. So many of them don't have the proper training either, and they said so many mistakes are being are happening. Skeleton staff, etc. I've noticed it. Have you noticed it?
I've been in and out of the system for a while now because, with Sharon's, father, he's been, after breaking a hip, he's been transferred to numerous hospitals. And you see what's going on. And I'm not blaming, and nobody should be blaming
No, somebody is trying to do healthcare.
Yeah,
There's no blame here. It's about the system.
The system's broken.
The system has a problem.
The system needs to be restructured. And that's
more $24 billion to Ukraine every year, and we could be giving some of that to healthcare.
And that's where our premier steps in. And our
100%.
premier should be taking care of Canadians first, and that's a priority. And if I ever become mayor, trust me, I will be working hand in hand with the premier and making changes or trying to make changes that are efficient.
Does that happen? Does that happen in real life? Does that really honestly happen? Does the mayor and the premier work together to coordinate?
I think the mayor and premier should be working together, and if they're not, there's a problem. You're both representing the city and the province, and I can assure you that if I become mayor of the city, or should I say when I become mayor of the city, be assured that I will be having many lunches with Wab Canoe and talking about Winnipeg and what Winnipeg needs and how we need help from the provincial and the federal government to make it happen. And that's what you need to do. You need to work together.
There's money there that can be allocated properly, again, from the feds that are going to be able to provide Winnipeggers with some resolve in some of the issues that we're lacking funds for, right?
100%. And, we're lacking funds in all types of areas. But if you work closely with the premier and you're not his enemy and you're not putting him down and you're not pushing him away, he's going to work with you. We just need to get louder. We need to get louder. We need to push our points and say this is where we need help. And again, even with the federal government has money to give away, and they should be giving it to a city like ours. For example, the Arlington Bridge. There's no reason for that bridge to be closed. Why are we working with the federal government and the provincial government saying we need this bridge? This bridge is causing catastrophe in our areas where traffic has doubled on McPhillips and on Main Street because there's a bridge closed.
How hard is it to put a new bridge in there, Mikey? Come on.
Infrastructure, and forget the new bridge. I mean, rebuilding the old bridge and making it work. But if you look at infrastructure in the city, look at the roads. Even these last few days that it's been warm out, the potholes are back, man, and they're destroying people's cars and the cracks in the streets. And, I have a Harley, and I barely ride my bike because the cracks in the street are so wide sometimes that it pulls your bike into a different direction. And why are we putting bike paths in that people aren't using in the winter when we should be fixing our roads? That's a priority.
Well,
Because
no, I thought you were going to start riding your bike in the winter,
the
Mike.
most precious gift you have is your family that's in that vehicle. And with the roads being the way they are, let's face it, you hit a pothole, you lose control of your car, you hit a pole. Or maybe another car with a family in it.
All right, so there's violence in the city now. We've got to move on to our next segment here, and there's a lot of things going on with the justice system. So violence in the city, what's driving that? Mike, you've been involved in it now for 2 years since the death of your brother, the murder of your brother, and obviously you're still going through the resolution of that. That's coming up in March, and that's going to be an outcome there that you're going to find out exactly how long that sentence will be for the individual who committed that murder on your brother.
I think it's a multi-layered problem. It's just not one. We have an addiction crisis in the city, which the provincial government should be all over. And I'm furious, to say the least. I did something about Sunshine House, I believe they are, which is a mobile, believe it or not, sites that we're trying to put away everywhere else. What do they call safe consumption site?
Yeah.
A mobile safe consumption site that allows even people underage to use it. And they don't have a permit to operate it. Or maybe they got a permit from the federal government, as they're saying. But safe consumption sites don't work. For addiction, we need treatment. We need more beds. We need recovery. Giving or allowing people to do more drugs doesn't solve the problem. It makes it completely worse. Federal bail policy. We need to work with the federal government and change the bail policy. It's the bail policy that's causing the crisis on our streets. When the catch and release system is broken, people die.
That's right.
And a perfect example of that is my brother Vogiatzakis. He's dead because the system failed us. How did the system fail us? Because they allowed a guy out who's a known offender over and over again, and finally on a promise of pure, only to kill. And he was on the loose for 2 years, not to be found. The only time he was found was when he murdered my brother. So if we don't change the federal bail policy, we are in big trouble. When I become mayor of the city, be assured I will be all over the federal government saying we need to fix Winnipeg. And I know what everybody's saying. It's done on purpose. It's happening because there's a reason. But we're not going to let it happen. That's where you need leaders who care, leaders who are going to stand up and say, I don't care what your reason is. We need to fix our city. The provincial court backlog is crazy. And we see with my brother's killer. It's been 2 years since my brother died. And here we are still in court and back another time 2 years later. The municipal policing system and resources is completely lost. These police officers are going out doing their jobs and are so frustrated that a lot of them are probably going to retire early because they're sick of the catch and release. They go and risk their lives. It's dangerous being a police officer these days. I bet you most criminals are carrying knives, guns, something, but they're out there doing their best to make our cities safe. But when the catch and release is there, there's nothing safe about it. The economic stress that's happening because of the catch and release, the drugs, the mental health, public safety is the most important thing we can ever deal with. It's what we should be standing on. Without public safety, businesses close, downtown declines. We've seen that. Downtown's declined for years and years, over and over again. Families relocate. Crime reduction requires policies. It requires police staffing and stability, which is something we're working on, and I have a plan for that. I have an incredible plan for our police force that I think is going to help. We need additional treatment and expansion centers. We need mental health services. We need lighting in urban planning. We need community engagement. No single level fixes it. It needs to be a joint venture.
All right, Mike, so justice, give you a little bit of wrap up here. Justice isn't all that bad. They,
it's not, eh?
Well, it is, but it isn't. I mean, let's just get into it here. First off, there's going to be accountability for your brother's murder, and that's a good thing. So there's some accountability. That's number one.
Finally.
Yeah. Well, no, not finally. I mean, it takes a while
but
to get there,
it
right?
could have went the other way, Brad.
It could
So
have very
if
easily,
we look
but
at
that's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about the good things. So
Oh, the
look,
good things, yeah.
you're coming to there, and that's what happens.
Right.
We did see that happen. Now, again, March is going to be a good month. You're going to see that this guy's going away. You're going to feel a lot better. Your mom is hopefully going to feel a lot better. Family's going to feel a lot better. But justice served again in Winnipeg recently, just today actually, on an animal cruelty case. A Winnipeg man and woman have been sentenced to 12 years after pleading guilty to horrific animal cruelty charges. Irene Lima and Chad Cabas received their sentences Wednesday in the Court of King's Bench of Manitoba. The judge called the suffering involved unimaginable. I can only imagine what they did to these poor animals. Along with prison time, both are now banned for life from ever owning or being around animals. So if you see them at the park, you better kick them to the curb. A strong message from the courts: animal cruelty will not be tolerated.
And I love it.
Neither will murder. Neither will. How about this? How about this message from the courts? A strong message from the court should be: I will not release a criminal back into the streets without proper accountability. Period.
And I'm hoping in my brother's memory and Kyriakis' memory, I will accomplish that one day. You know, when we're going to work with the federal and provincial government, we want this catch and release program to stop. If you're being arrested for a crime you've committed, you need to do the time. And none of this 1.5 day, days for every day that you're in jail. You've committed a crime. We shouldn't be gifting you something because you've committed a crime. Hey, congratulations, you committed a crime, you've murdered somebody, but just because you're in jail, we're going to give you 1.5 days credit for every day that you're there. No, that's not how it works. And that's not how it works in other countries either. And it's really frustrating when they get away with that, and they know they're getting away with it. And when the catch and release program is alive, there's no accountability. What does that mean? People go out in the street, they commit a crime, they get arrested, they go back to jail, and it seems to be a joke because every time they do that, it takes 2 years to get in front of a judge.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mike, let's move on now. We're going to head into medical assistance in dying
Big
or
one.
maid, and funeral homes offering comfort rooms. What's that about? Actually, wait, I got it right here. Let's pull that up. Let's do this video right now.
Yeah, let's watch this video. So let's get into the difficult territory of MAID. Legal in Canada, some funeral homes are offering rooms for assisted death. Your thoughts as we watch this video? So think about that. They're giving you a room at a cost so you can bring your loved one in there instead of doing it at the hospital or at home. In the comfort of the funeral home, you could take your loved one's life. And that's what funeral homes all around are asking. And I got a funny feeling that in the future, funeral homes are going to be the place where the MAID program takes place. Meaning when your loved one doesn't want to live anymore, you phone your local funeral home, you get a room, they give you that room at a cost, and then...
Well, let's listen.
Oh, you got it ready?
I do.
Awesome.
Hello, this is Rebecca. How can I help you?
Hi, Rebecca. I was just wanting to inquire about something really quick. I know it's close to closing time for you, but do you have a second?
Of course. How can I help you?
So I was just, I heard that this was an option, and I just wanted to know, because it sounds kind of crazy to me, so just bear with me. Are you guys able to provide MAID at your funeral home location?
We are, yeah. And just for context, could I ask your first name?
Kelsey.
Kelsey. Hi, Kelsey. I'm Rebecca. So yes, we do offer our gathering room space for MAID provisions, and that is regardless of whether the person chooses to use us as the funeral home following the provision. So we can either do a pure rental of the space, and then that person is taken care of by another funeral home following that provision, or if they would like to work with us throughout all of their care, they can receive provision here, and then their body would actually remain on site to be cared for.
Do you guys, do you have a cost breakdown of what that looks like?
Yeah, so in general, the cost for using, actually let me just get my form here. So the cost for using our gathering room for a MAID provision is $495.
Okay.
And that is the cost if they are not also using us as the funeral home of choice. If they were using us as the funeral home as well, we can offer that same space for $300.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, thank you. I was just curious. I wanted to do some research on the funeral homes in the area that were providing that? I just wasn't sure. I heard you were doing it, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's a good option for people who don't feel comfortable either at home or at a hospital. There's not too many third-party locations, so that's why we offer that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
All right, Mike,
Alright,
what's your
take
take
care.
on
You
that
too.
story,
Bye-bye.
buddy?
So-
That's,
Bye.
So it's pretty shocking.
are you
'cause
going to do it?
you know what? So here's what'll happen. They're probably gonna go through the Board of Funeral Service and make it that funeral homes have to provide that. That's what I think is going to happen in the future, where they're going to say, your funeral directors, you deal with death on an ongoing basis. This is part of the death process, and you're going to have to deal with it. And this is going to be part of your jobs. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow. See, MAID was put together for people who were suffering stage 4 cancer, ALS, people who were struggling with life. The pain was so difficult they wouldn't be able to handle it. And I was okay with that. It took me a while to accept it because I do believe in God, and you always ask that question to God: is this right? Am I doing the right thing by doing this? But the bottom line is the person who's accepting the MAID program or applying for it has to go through their own process in their own mind. And MAID is governed by the federal government on strict rules, they say, which I don't believe is true. But eligibility includes serious and incurable illnesses. Well, we know that that's drastically changed because in the near future, you'll be able to get MAID if you're struggling with mental illness.
That's right.
And next year, you'll be able to get MAID if you're 13 years of age and you don't want to live anymore, and you'll be able to walk into a MAID office without parents' permission, and they will take your child's life. So advanced decline, that's what it's supposed to be for. Enduring suffering, when you just can't handle the pain anymore. Now, when funeral homes offer a space for this procedure to occur, we must ask, does this blur the medical and funeral roles? Because usually the roles would be for a person to die in a hospital, at home. That would be normal. Even through the palliative care program, they send you home with an anticipated home death letter. Is this all going to change? Is medical oversight clearly separated between death, funeral homes, and hospital? Are families fully informed of what's going on, what MAID really is, and what the consequences are? Could this create perception of something being kind of commercialized? And you almost look at it as the way they're advertising it is, it's an easy way out. You go to the funeral home, you get a room, the family joins you, and then we take your life. Do we have emotional support that's adequate to be able to help families through this? Death is not transitional. A funeral home's role begins after death, not at the facility where we take care of people's loved ones. That boundary matters ethically to me, and it's a serious question. Should funeral homes be in the death business, meaning taking people's lives? Should funeral directors be licensed to provide the MAID program to those that want it? That's a real question that has a lot to do with ethics.
Look, that boundary matters ethically, doesn't it? In a big way.
Boundary does matter. And you know what? I'd love to read the comments and get people's opinion on the MAID program and funeral homes being involved in it, as far as renting rooms, being a part of the MAID program, as far as providing the medication and actually taking a person's life.
There's going to be risk of normalization, isn't there?
Yeah. Anytime a procedure becomes streamlined, so society must examine it. And are safeguards strong? Are valuable people protected? These are questions you have to ask yourself. Is consent clear and free from pressure? I can tell you that recently a person came into the funeral home. They have stage 4 cancer, and they were told in front of the family it would be easier for them to take the MAID program instead of going through chemo and all the things you would go through for cancer. So they basically said to him, you could sign here and we'll take your life, and you and your family don't have to go through that roller coaster ride of this. This topic requires a calm, ethical dialogue, if you ask me, not ideology. It's about protecting dignity at the end of life. And to me, that's a big thing, is protecting not only the person who's sick, but the family, the dignity in death. And I believe that, in my own opinion, unless you're in devastating pain, unless you can't handle the pain, no treatment is there for you, no pain medication will help you, then I can understand. I know we have a loving and forgiving God, and it's a really good question that you have to, and I can't answer that question for you. I know I've been in a room where a person was given MAID, and I witnessed it firsthand, and it was pretty devastating. And I can share some other stories with you, and maybe ask the funeral director when we bring it back about the MAID program and what I've witnessed as a funeral director and what I've been part of as a funeral director, and some things we've done that we probably wouldn't do again.
I'm interested to see whether or not the feds get involved in the funeral industry at all coming up in the future. I think that if they step their foot into these funeral homes, and let's say that you guys all say no. Let's say every funeral home owner decides to say no to this program of MAID in their establishment. That is going to still lead the government to say, well, we better set up our own, and we have no need for you guys anymore, and we're going to definitely set up our own, and we're going to provide MAID, we're going to do cremation, we're going to do, what's that water one?
Accumation.
Aquamation.
So here's what I think is going to happen. I think the federal, provincial government is going to get into the death business, which they are already. If you're applying
now,
MAID,
wait a minute, because once that happens, we're already seeing what's happening in hospitals when people die there, and that's really tragic, and there's some underlying stuff where things are going on in the basements of hospitals that, and I'm not saying here in Winnipeg, no, I'm not saying that at all, but I've heard about it through the States, and this isn't spectacle, no conspiracy theory here. The articles are true and legit, but
I can tell you that's not happening in Winnipeg. There's a system and procedure.
But there is organ harvesting happening in North America.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Right.
So
we're not going to deny it, right?
MAID has created a huge organ harvesting market.
Right.
And it's happening everywhere, and it probably will happen here too.
But who's doing the selling of the organs? Is it the family, or is it the actual government?
I mean that's the black market, really, I think.
Yeah.
But let's just say in Winnipeg, somebody is going to take the MAID program. I'm sure they would ask the family, do you want to donate your eyes? Do you want to donate your heart? Whatever is good on the body, and that would be donated to a family member. We're talking about donation here, but in some places, there's clear evidence that they're selling organs.
There you go.
And in some funeral homes, and this is hard for me to say as a funeral director, not in Canada, but in the U.S. and other countries, they are actually selling organs illegally after taking bodies into their care from care home facilities.
Wow.
And after MAID programs. So it's documentized. It's there. It's something that's happening. And we need to step in and say no. So to answer your first question, will funeral homes probably get involved? I would say a majority of the owners of funeral homes are very greedy, and when it comes to money and making money and profit, they're going to jump all over it. Because the bottom line is funeral service has drastically changed over the years, especially since COVID. What we're seeing now is an increase of cremations. Less and less people having funeral services or memorial services, but more and more cremations. So what does that mean? The funeral industry means that they need to step it up a bit, as they would say, because the sales aren't there that used to be. So when they say, oh, we want your funeral directors to be part of the MAID program, we want you to start using your facilities. You're going to be the place where this is, almost like a hospice care, except now it's a death center where you're not only dealing with death, but now you're also causing death.
One of the things that they always say in the hospital is they died peacefully, and sometimes, well, maybe even a lot of the times, it's not the case, is it, Mike?
No. I want to answer Sandra's question here. She says, to donate, you must be alive. Well, no, that's right up to a point, Sandra. It's not completely right. So what they do here, for example, is if a person is, let's just say a young person was in a motor vehicle accident, and there's organs the family can donate, they'll put you on life support. So you're mentally deceased, your heart's really not ticking anymore, but a machine is keeping you alive. And then while that machine is keeping you alive, they will harvest organs, and they'll kind of do the same thing through the MAID program and all kinds of ways. But in other places, I can tell you, because there's articles and it's documented.
Right, that's what I was talking about. This isn't conspiracy.
Yeah, this funeral homes are actually involved in the illegal crime of harvesting organs and selling organs. Yep. And those organs are worth big money, and there's some
of them aren't
countries
even
that are
licensed.
doing it too. And
some of them aren't even licensed funeral guys. They're just doing it on the side. They think they got the tools and they can get it done.
Yeah, I want to read some questions. It's always good to go back to the comments.
Oh, of course.
And some people have some questions that I seen one on here. It was kind of exciting, and I mean, it's all about money. It's all about the almighty dollar.
When
We
it
see
comes
what
to the
happens.
organs.
We see what happens all around the world when it comes to here. Randolph says Las Vegas has had organ kidnapping for years. You could read some of these if you want, Brad. How about Jeremy here? Oh, Jeremy's a good guy to read.
Go ahead.
Replying to Sandra. Oh, he's replying to somebody. So let me see here. Drowning people after they paralyze. So again, with the MAID program, they say when I've been part of the MAID program, they say there's no drowning at all. They say it's a peaceful death, but who knows? The bottom line is, when I've been in that room, I've noticed three things. And the first injection that you're getting is basically putting you in a coma, in kind of a drunk, good feeling. The second one puts you in a complete coma, and the third one shuts off your heart. So that's really how the MAID program works. And I can tell you, when I've been in a room like that, 30 seconds later, it's like, okay, we need this room. You need to get the person on the stretcher and out of here.
Yeah, not good.
So really scary stuff. But hope you found this to be another interesting show. It's going to get more and more interesting. I want you to know in May, when I'm legally registered to be a mayoral candidate, we're going to get down and dirty and talk about the things that we could do to fix the problems that the city has, where I can have an open policy. I could talk to you about it, and I want to do it first on the show with you, Brad. And something that we're going to do that's really interesting when I do run for mayor in the city is we're going to release everything here on the Mike Vogiatzakis show always. So then you get the true facts, not what the media does by cutting half of everything out and playing what they want to play. The next few months are going to be really interesting, and if you look at it, we're already February, right? March, April, May, we have 3 months. So something you could do to help me is when you see me on Facebook or this show, please share, follow, and like. The more followers we get, the better chance we have of winning this election. Remember, an incumbent mayor is hard to beat. Most incumbent mayors are never beat, but it's happened around Canada, and it's going to happen right here in Winnipeg again in the future.
I want you to know that we have space right here for somebody like Abi Khan to come in and have a chat and talk a little bit about everything. There's lots of political people in this city. I mean, that's the thing about Winnipeg is it's a big center with a lot of people who are engaging in politics. So how do we get a few of them in here to get some interviews going, Mike? Because
it's good to have people in here to do interviews. The one thing I don't want to do, Brad, is I don't want to be politically connected to any party. So when you bring somebody on,
you've not been politically
and
connected.
I don't want to be politically connected. I want to keep that really clear that I'm going to run a campaign that's not politically. We could get Abi Khan to come on, who's from the PC party.
Right.
We can
We
ask
talk
Wap
about-
Canoe if he wants to come on. We could do all kinds of things like that. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And if you have an interesting story that you want to share,
Reach out to Mike.
reach out to me or reach out to Brad even.
Yep.
And we'll bring you on the show and we'll talk about it. But in the meantime, we want to thank you for supporting the Mike Vogiatzakis show. Thanks to Brad for being an incredible host all the time. Hopefully we see you Friday at Carl Krebs service for the people that do Carl Krebs. And even if you didn't, it's going to be a good service. And I'm sure there's going to be a great message from the pastors and food afterwards. And then if you can, join us 2:00 at Brookside Cemetery in Winnipeg, where
On Monday.
on Monday, where Voyage Funeral Home will be in care of arrangements at that point. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you and your families. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Good night,
everyone.
everybody. Take care.
Good night.